Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 579, recorded the weekend of November 8th. I'm your host, Patrick. I'm going to do the news solo this week because there's really just not a lot of news and schedules and vacation and all that kind of fun stuff. Also, you might be able to tell from my voice, I've been sick all week, so that's been something I've been dealing with as well. Get into the show. This will be a pretty quick section, though. We'll get into the main topic. The screenshot of the week, Scapinelli is surrounded by the Night Revel sky in the 439th screenshot of the week. Thanks, Lux Inferno, for sending in this week's screenshot. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website, DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next weekend. You can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOcast.com, with our calendar. The plan for the next show is to do a or at least start a post-mortem on the Hardcore League. The Hardcore League will have ended by then. For this week, we've got a special Ask the Devs. So I was able to sit down with the devs and kind of talk to them specifically about the Hardcore League and kind of how that process and an idea kind of came to be and came to actually be a thing on a live server and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. Before we get there, I'm going to talk about the game news and that kind of stuff. So, like I said, there's not really a whole lot of game news to cover this week. There was a second preview of Update 44. There are only very minor changes, so I'm not going to go through the release notes or anything like that. Some small tweaks to a couple of things here and there. We did get a full look at the 8 quests. There are 7 quests that are level 1 and 7 or 21. And then there's 1 quest that's level 2 or 22, depending on what part of the game you're playing. So that was kind of the only real newsworthy thing of note that came out of that. Yes. So there was also some questions being answered. Will there be a Black Friday sales? Yes, they are planning on some Black Friday sales, some holiday sales, that kind of stuff. Cordovan did mention on the forums and actually in the interview as well that the specifics have not been announced, but they are being particularly careful to make sure the offerings are available to both VIPs and non-VIPs. So stuff that both can take an advantage of. There's a lot of things, if you're VIP in the store, are locked out. You don't actually get to see them. Things like quest packs and stuff like that. You can't actually buy while you're a VIP because you technically already own it. So they're looking to make sure that that's not the case, that most of the stuff that you can get, you can do even if you're a VIP. So they are keeping that in mind. Some things that I would expect, if you're looking to maybe buy one of the older expansions, you might wait until Black Friday. Historically, usually some of them, like Menace the Underdark and Shadowfell Conspiracy, sometimes the starter pack, those things all kind of have frequently come on sale during that time frame, the Black Friday, Cyber Monday time frame. Bonus days for the week. DDO bonus days brings you a plus 5% buddy boost, so you get plus 5% XP for every member in your party or raid group other than yourself through November 11th. Yes, through Monday. That is Veterans Day in the U.S., a day where we celebrate veterans' contributions to our country. And so as SSG normally does for the holiday, we usually get an extra day of bonus days. The store stuff for the week, Hack and Stash, 25% off of Slayer boosts, loot boosts, and treasure hunter elixirs, select shared storage through November 14th. You can also get 5 long-lasting Eagle's Majesty potions with the coupon code CROWNME now through November 14th. That'll take us into community news. Again, kind of a short news week this week. It looks like they're getting ready to bring out the update, so as is typical, there's not a whole lot of stuff going on. Community spotlights from the 358th Chronicle. Team S Standing Stone Games is working to prevent suicide among men, along with other men's health issues. This is Cordovan's work with Movember. Symbiote Solo's Project Nemesis. You can watch that. Bonnie Bew and crew tackled Tomb of the Wizard King tabletop style, so you can check out that group. That was Bonnie Bew's thing for Extra Life. Nignon Orliet previewed mounts as well. There's a player spotlight. I'd like to recognize Arrow Havoc of the Orion server. About a year ago, a group of us began running a static group. He constantly pushes us to run higher content, to challenge us, to not make the game just about playing it easy. Due to his leadership, we've moved up to Reaper challenges and now find Vengeance Reapers and Fear Reapers can even be a threat. He helps with build questions, talks gear selection, leads raids, and helps new players. Arrow also throws in an R10 every life when things are getting stagnant. We know full well we're probably going to die, but it makes us laugh and we actually finish it. He has also started streaming our R6 runs on Twitch under Arrow Havoc. Anyway, I just think he should be the spotlight for his wonderful leadership. The comment of the week. If your character wasn't an adventurer, what would their regular job be? Probably nothing horribly exciting. I went with my, which character first. If you went with my, quote, main for many years, I'd be a warforged, so he'd probably be some sort of menial labor job. Maybe construction or something like that. Let's see, fan site news. DDOCast previews Keep on Borderlands. That was our show last week with Evil Beaker. DDO Players News previewed the new stat panel UI and a whole bunch of other stuff in some of their videos. Let's see, DDO live streaming on Twitch shows Doug Glendower, Brock and Friends, and Freedio on DDO stream. And YouTube shoutouts this week are Fubar and Friends, Strumtom, and Thazara. And massively OP's MJ ran the Night Revels as well, so you can check that out. All right, that's going to close out the news portion of the show. Nice short section. We'll get you right into the Ask the Devs segment. Before we do that, though, if you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOcast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up at DDOcast for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. And if you'd like to be part of the show, if you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment, or you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can always follow us on Twitter. At DDOcast is the best place to find me. So stay tuned for Ask the Devs Hardcore League coming up next. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Devs. I am your host, Patrick. I apologize, I'm a little under the weather. I'm going to try and get through this pretty well here. With me this week, we've got some devs here to answer some questions. We've got Community Manager Cordovan.
Hello, hello.
And we also have Torc, System Designer with SSG.
Hey, guys.
And CocoaMajobo, recently promoted to Associate Producer, formerly QA Guru, I think, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Hello.
So welcome, guys. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to do this. We're going to focus today on Hardcore League, and we'll talk about a couple of things maybe too. But so we got this Hardcore League thing happening. It's going for about another week or so. So just take us back a little bit. How did conversations about Hardcore League start happening? What drew you guys into this idea as a project?
I think it was maybe a confluence of a handful of different things that have been part of the DDO culture for a while. I mean, DDO has long had, a pretty thriving permadeath scene, and it's been a cool part of the game for a long time. And there was once a conversation about like, what if we did some kind of wimpy, character race kind of a thing, maybe whatever it would be, like a kobold or something like that. And then, see if how far people could get through dungeons as a deliberately limited sort of design. But then that just never really made necessarily enough sense to really pursue. And in the industry, I think people are pretty well aware that one of the things that has been happening in recent years is this idea of kind of classic servers or special servers or progression servers, things like that.
Which you guys did with Lotro.
Yeah, exactly. With the legendary worlds for Lotro. And we kind of wanted to do something like that for DDO, but DDO is a different game than some of these other MMOs that have done this kind of progression server, because we tend to have a more circular play style, right? You're true reincarnating and all the rest. So the idea of, hey, you can finally experience what it's like to be back at level 1, is not really a new
progression
thing.
and or legendary servers are great for incentivizing people and giving people a reason to go back through the content that they haven't had a reason to go through in years, and they haven't had a population in that content for years. But DDO, because it is a big circle, you have seen the content that is down below, and so it doesn't make sense for us to do a progression server in the same way that other games do.
So when we kind of looked at it, it was like, well, I don't know where the kind of light bulb going off thing happened.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were having a conversation about roguelikes, or I think we were just kind of, doing the things where guys around talk about games they're playing and games they like. And we kind of had this like, I think, we were basically bouncing around like, could we do this? And we're like, I mean, there are things about DDO that actually work a little bit better than other MMOs. Like, oddly enough, like just kind of how you run out resources and the fact that we have so many consumables and there's so much stuff in your inventory that can like, deal with various tools to kind of handle odd situations. And we have henchmen to kind of handle, missing class. You can use a rogue hireling if you really need a guy. A lot of our traps are avoidable by kind of, player place arcade skill. Like, there's just a lot of, it's very, DDO is interesting for a lot of different reasons, and it kind of like, it just seemed like it fit to us a little bit better than like any other standard MMO. So the conversation kind of got started. We were initially playing with an idea of actually like building some kind of like macro dungeon at the beginning of the game where you would like enter at level 1 and it would be like, how long can you live in this macro dungeon? And then if you die, you just got punted back out to the normal game.
Not even as necessarily a separate server, just as part of your regular server. You can start a character in the macro dungeon permadeath thing.
Right. But then we were like, we'd had to build a macro dungeon. And they were like, it wouldn't be too bad if we only did levels 1 through 3. And we're like, okay. Yeah. And then we were like, what if we just do it? What if we just like die, man? And we even thought about giving you multiple lives. In fact, the system technically can handle you having multiple lives.
Yeah, there's a world property to set how many lives you have on a permanent server.
Yeah, but we are like, well, okay, how about we do like 3? And we're like, then we're like 1.
Just because people going down and dying and then being raised is like a core fundamental part of DDO combat flow. And so it was like, can we get away with eliminating that entirely?
And it also just seemed like a really nice challenge. I mean, we already have players who have learned a lot of game skill by doing permadeath. And the idea of, well, okay, so just how powerful are you? How OP are these skills, let's say, for example? Or how does this combination really work? Can people make it all the way up to level 30 and not die? We had a sense that people could, but how many?
Yeah, well,
and,
what would
and
the
all the
percentages
rest.
be?
Yeah. And it just seemed like too cool an idea to let go, frankly. And it just, like I said, it worked with this concept of sort of a special server, it just kind of grew together and became a thing.
I think in general, the DDO team is always looking for unexpected, weird things we can do that make people, even people who are engaged in our game, go, oh, they're doing that now? Oh, okay.
Yeah, this definitely fit the bill. I
Yeah.
So
I think I oftentimes hear Severlin say something along the lines of having players have a different experience while playing the game. It's like when you talked about like adding new Reapers, like we want you to have a new experience instead of just kill all the Reapers with fire, I think is what they said. We want you to have a different reaction to them, and this certainly I think fit that bill of play our game, only do it without dying.
What was interesting is that not only the permadeath, we called it locally permadeath. Eventually, we called it hardcore. So if I say permadeath, I mean hardcore. It's just jumping terminology. But the we did the proof of concept, and you get that kind of heady feeling when you have a near death experience. We kind of saw what it was doing, and it actually, but after that, it kind of emboldened us to really want to change more things about the game. That to kind of make it feel even more different. Like, so we did a whole bunch of changes kind of before the hardcore launch to try to we came up with the new Reapers. We adjusted Reaper difficulty in various ways. We did not want everyone to look at the get the 20 thing under the current XP meta. We wanted to change up the XP meta, so they'd be like, what dungeon should I run if I just want to jam the 20? Is this going to be, maybe I'm going to do this different?
People to have set paths.
Yeah.
The optimized paths over like the last 5 years of working out what the optimized XP path was. And so we wanted them to be able to go into the hardcore season almost with a fresh palette. So like obviously people have ins and outs, but we wanted them to be able to be exploring and just figuring out what to do all at once together.
Yeah. One of the things we quickly identified early on that you really need goals. Like, I mean, you can't just say, okay, you got one life, and maybe you make your own goals, but it's like, you kind of know you're going to die if you keep playing, like eventually, like, something will happen. So you need to I need to get to here before, so coming up with the goals and setting them up. So we were pretty happy with the goals we with the favor and the Reaper XP seemed to work pretty well.
Things that I wish we had been able to incentivize, but I like what we did.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just, I mean, we always could do more, and we very well may. But yeah.
Well, talk a little bit more about that. How did you come up with the reward structures? What drew you to the decisions you made with that?
Making you guys go into content that isn't necessarily safe. I mean, it's really about putting you out of your comfort zone in this situation. So the high favor reward is really kind of really got to play a lot of almost everything. Like, you occasionally can take a pass on the quest, and you can probably, you don't have to do the raids, but
to get 5,000 favor, there's currently 6,500-ish favor.
Yeah.
So you have to play the majority of the content in the game to get to that, which means you can't choose to skip many things. So favor is a means of making sure you are going into not just the best quests that have the least risk in them, and then on the other hand, Reaper is the Reaper XP is the reward that incentivizes you to not go in on the lower difficulties because you have less of a chance of dying there, and that's basically what those are for.
Yeah, and then we, I think, set maybe some kind of mid-tier goals rather than just the top-end goals, just for those folks like myself who are unlikely to hit that.
I'm this close to the level 20. I've died 3 times trying to get to the level 20 goal. I can't play as much as a lot of our players do just because I'm busy with the game. But
how is hardcore going for the office there? Is there an office pool of who's going to get the farthest?
Yep. I will tell you that the designer who worked on Bone Grinder will be making some adjustments to Bone Grinder. That was one of my deaths. Pretty much went in with my eyes open. I don't think his eyes were open yet, but they were afterwards. But yeah, no, I mean, it's I'm a group of 3 other coworkers and one if you remember Eladrin, I actually get him playing even though he's no longer with us. And we are playing the Sharn content right now. We're close to level 17, and we're making a run for it.
My propensity to never make good builds has really not paid off in the hardcore league season. I have been determined to get 5,000 favor on a pure 20 Henshin Mystic Monk, and it is not working. It is not working.
I'm not going to bore people. You saw me die live, so I guess that counts. I have not been as successful as I thought I would be. At first, I was like, well, I don't know if I can do that Reaper goal, and then it was like, well, I think I could do that favor goal, and then it was like, oh, well, maybe I just need to learn how to play for, before I set these unrealistic expectations on myself. Like I say, I have been doing great at the hardcore league until the 5 seconds I haven't been doing great, and then I'm done. I run into a situation where I feel pretty comfortable, and then that one smack you upside the head encounter or trap or whatever happens, and then
That's
boom,
DDO.
I'm back to the land of lost souls, right?
There's the two things I think that get a lot of people is the one is the mistake. So you forget about a trap and find it with your face, which I did a few times, or the time where I was texting and driving and ran into a trap. That was embarrassing. And then the other one is the randomness, right? Where you turn a corner and there's 2 Reapers and 3 Champion Flame Skulls on R3, and your 1,000 hit point bear tank is dead.
Right.
And those are the kind of the 2 things you have to try to minimize, but you can never really make them go away.
Yeah.
I perished to a Cobalt Lightning Bolt, which I'm sure has happened to a lot of people.
Yeah.
The spellcasters in early levels are the only thing that you should be worried about. You should kill them immediately because they are.
Right.
I've heard wolves are pretty deadly as well.
Well, it's true, because if you get knocked down, you're in a relatively defenseless state.
I wonder if people remember that Sonic trap in Shandakor where you open a secret door and it's just looking at you. And it's set to a delay. So I think the intended behavior was like, oh my God, it's a trap, I should move.
I think we determined that, especially earlier on in the hardcore league season, there was that cold trap in the Korthos Island Wilderness area.
You're so used to not caring about it.
Is it Necromancer's Doom? I can't remember which one it is now. Where that took out a whole lot of people.
Yeah, freezing that Scrag in the back.
I do kind of hope you guys release some statistics about where people died, or what quests had the lowest percentage of completions to deaths or something like that.
Oh, we've been tracking
it.
Data.
Yeah.
Be some fun stuff there.
There's talk of building a heat map or something. We've been busy with this update, but we'll definitely be getting to it.
So backing up a little bit, so I think you kind of already covered this, but how did you guys kind of move from, okay, here's this idea, to, hey, let's actually do this, to, hey, we're opening this? What did that road kind of look like?
Originally, it was a long process because it started as a harebrained idea that we didn't actually ever, and no one on the team actually expected to have happen. And we had an original potential maybe launch date a year prior to when it actually ended up going, because it was never a core feature of an update. It was just kind of the side project that we were hoping to get out and maybe do a boost.
I think it kind of went like this: is we kind of bought into it, and then we looked at each other we're developers, we're crazy. I mean, there's just our perspective on things can be very different than a player. And then we threw it at the Players Council, and they were like, we love it. And we're like, really?
Yeah.
And we didn't no one really had anything bad to say about it. We're like, oh, really? We're One Life? Really? Level 19 splat, done, start over? Really? They're like, yep, it's cool. We love it. We're like, okay.
And then there was just the technical piece of putting in a system which would send you to the land of lost souls and mortality and all the rest, and that was doable specifically because we were able to do it on its own server, so it didn't have to apply to everybody, right? And it was I think that was really one of the final pieces of, hey, this is actually going to work, so let's schedule and get this out.
Yeah, I remember when I came to visit you guys a couple summers ago, Jerry was actually asking my opinion on the matter. This has been percolating for a while, right? And
I think I put it in not a this is going to happen, but what if kind of a scenario.
It was definitely we're thinking about it. What do you think about this kind of a thing?
Unlike our usual workflow, where it's we're going into an update cycle and we're okay, what are the features of this update cycle? hardcore server really was never part of that same cadence. It was just a side project that was like slowly building over the course of a long period of time.
We were making lots of stuff that are known elements, like new enhancement tree, yep, content, yep, new class, okay, permadeath was like, okay, are we crazy? No one seems worth. Okay, keep working on it. It's really a good idea. All right, keep working on it. It's so yeah, and it happened.
What are some of the challenges you kind of ran into with Hardcore League? Were there any, or was it just kind of getting over your own "Are we crazy"?
So the whole like One Life to Live actually happened really fast. It like we had that up in days. That wasn't mostly because you're not really dead. We're basically we're having you in a holding box to make you feel dead. So we didn't really actually have to fundamentally change the underlying systems of the game that much. The rewards took a bit.
Implementation of crossover rewards was
is really that was kind of like the whole idea of like you're going to play on a server and unlock rewards, and then your other character, you'll get the rewards there, but your other characters and your other servers are going to get them as well. That was really the only major technical squiggle, and we threw a little bit of work at leaderboards. We'd done one in the past a long time ago for challenges, but it was
not good.
Yeah, so we went for something a little bit more simpler. Basically, like it's based in game, it's based on the server. So like, and yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, we did a lot of work again to change the meta. I mean, honestly, I would say the XP pass was probably the most painful part of any of it, if you really count it as part of it.
Yeah. So I think we had to answer a bunch of questions kind of internally before externally about, but what if you wanted to bring in your character? Should you bring in a character or should everyone start fresh? Well, what if you can you use res shrines? Can you res each other? No, so there's just kind of a lot of smaller details that we had to work through as well. But when we tended to find that when we stuck to our guns and was really kind of went the One Life to Live route, it seemed to work the best. And so that's, I think, ultimately why we launched that way.
It's like gameplay polish flow.
Yeah.
Like what makes this engaging? Like what do we need to do to make this loop of live, die, repeat actually engaging and not frustrating?
Yeah. I mean, we didn't actually spend too much time. Well, even though we implemented multiple lives, we really didn't spend too much time with it. I think we kind of quickly hit this thing of like, what happens is when you have extra lives, you don't feel it. You don't feel the tension. And then when you actually hit one life, you don't necessarily, like, a lot of people don't make the mental jump. So when you die, you're like, oh, right, I only had one. Oh, yeah, okay. But if you kind of just live in One Life to Live, like, it just changes everything.
Yeah.
It's just where we want, it was just where the fun was.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was. It still is.
It still is for another couple days.
I reached my goals and got just past 100k favor or 100k Reaper XP, and then we had a bad day with traps and decided we were done.
What quest got you?
Well, the quest that got me the first time at 95,000 Reaper XP was Amber Temple. So the next time around, we did that on casual, and then someone died in a trap in hiding in plain sight, and then spawn a Whisper Doom. Some traps. One was a forget. We forgot there was a trap, and one was there was someone did the trap the hard way and in the trap and died in the trap.
Yeah, we run with two spotters. Like both our melees are a weird amalgamation to actually spot traps. Like our fighter has a level of artificer just so he can spot traps, and they push spot, which is really interesting. Just to see that, like having melee prioritize that, like just because like we didn't trust ourselves to remember where all the traps were, and some of them are randomized. Like
when you're running content you haven't run in a while, that's a good thing to remember. Although the trap that we forgot about and Spawn of Whisper Doom was definitely more of a we just lost someone, we're still kind of reeling from that, and then forgot about that trap and lost another person. But the classic one for me was when we were doing 5,000 favor, we got to, okay, there's Do you want to run this quest that we all hate, this quest that no one likes, or this quest that no one likes?
That's the point.
So we ran into the Demon's Den.
Oh my! That's right, you did.
Yeah, and right away I was like, okay, I don't think there's any traps in here. 2 seconds later, we're almost dying in a trap. It's like, no.
I still can't believe you.
What was that?
I still can't believe you did that.
Good times.
Yeah.
I was confident we could do that because I had done it for some challenge that someone put up on the forums a couple years back, like complete this quest solo on at like level 14 on Elite, which I managed to actually do. So I figured we could finish it at 19 with a group, but I did completely forget about the traps that were in there, and that almost kind of derailed the whole thing. But so what surprised you about the Hardcore League when it went live and players started playing on it?
Me personally, it was the out the gate popularity. Before we announced, and we only had to talk to the Players Council, like everyone on the team was like preposterously jazzed because it was a strange idea, and we like strange ideas, and we were all very excited about it.
We're strange ideas.
And then we announced, and we did the first preview, and there was so much vitriol about the way we had implemented it that I was just like, well, this thing we've been thinking about as an experiment that we're all very giddy about, no one not on the team is on board, and it's going to be terrible, and we'll never do it again. And then we came out the gates, and like we had like the highest population on a single server we've had in DDO for years, continuously for the next like 3 weeks. It was crazy.
Yeah. I think for me, so I didn't know how many people were going to hit these milestones. And I think that it is fewer people than I expected ultimately, because you know, I'm used to running fairly high level content with established groups. And so you get this impression that like, quote, everybody can do it. And then when you really put that to the test on the Hardcore League, you realize that they can do it, but can they do it without dying? And that's the big sort of thing. So I guess when it comes to the overall leaderboards, I'm super impressed by the people at the top of the leaderboards. I mean, to the point my jaws is like, how? But at the same time, I think the overall number was maybe a little lower than I thought it was.
I think the favor leaderboard just got to the point where like everyone on the favor side is over 5,000 favor now.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew favor would be easier than Reaper XP, of course. But.
Yeah.
Depending on the risks you take. One of the things I was happy about is that it did seem that grouping was fairly popular. One of the worries we had is that people might kind of go off on their own and just try to scrape by like with various tactics and try to do like very consistent repetitive things as opposed to kind of embrace like we're moving as a team through different content. So I'm glad that happened, or seemed to happen.
Yeah, there was a period of time where we were worried that people would be very put off by the thought of other players griefing them and leading them traps and grabbing Red Dungeon Alert and getting them killed. But that does not seem to have been the vibe. It seemed to have been a really nice, good cooperative experience for the majority. I'm sure griefing did happen, but on the majority, it seemed to be a renaissance of DDO grouping, which I thought was great.
And gilding too, like the putting together this massive guilds to kind of like pool all the resources and like running these big guilds just so everyone could have guild buffs that gets everyone into a guild chat channel together. It had better social dynamics than, well, we were hoping that would happen, but we weren't sure. So glad it happened.
A lot of this was like we were viewing as genuinely just an experiment to see what happened when we put it out, and then determine,
did it work?
What we can take from that. Like,
yeah. I mean, I met a couple new friends, and changed how I've been playing DDO a little bit, and expanded my world. It was fun playing with people from different servers, right? Like, it wasn't something that I thought about going in. Of like, oh, I'm playing with people that I don't normally play with, and developing new friendships while playing this game. And it was also really fun to kill a bunch of rogues and trappers and stuff. It's kind of a running joke because we, it seemed like every day we'd kill at least one while they were trying to do traps or something, or they'd get smacked or something around.
Yep.
I kind of went into the whole thing thinking like, all right, a lot of people are going to pick and want to be trappers because they're going to be afraid of traps. And I'm like, but there's a lot of traps you have to run through to disable.
Laundering crime wave.
Yeah, there's a 1 in 20 chance each time minimum 1 in 20 chance each time you run through a trap, you're going to roll a 1. You're going to run through more than 20 traps. So sooner or later, you're going to get hit by a trap.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
I'm the trapper in my group, and we were running laundry, back when we were starting our run. And there's that one room that has it's floor spikes, with fairly spread pattern. The box is on the far side of the room, and we had gone in on elite, and I was like looking at like, I haven't done this quest. Guys, let's come back in hard.
I think you just muted Jerry.
On my we had like leveled back up, so we're like, we're back to level 4 or 5, and it's like, yay. and I'm just like, that death is too fresh still.
That is the caution that has led you to have much more success in hardcore than me.
Right, we lost that sense of caution around level 10.
Got it.
When I went across that room in hard, I got clipped once, and I was like, that I think we calculated. I was like blessed and everything. That's the thing. You do all sorts of stuff you never do.
Right.
It's just like, okay, I'm going across the trap room. It's like, how many hit points can we give you? What can we do? Okay, like bless, constitute, bear strength, bear's endurance. Sorry. Like change your gear around. Maybe I don't know. Maybe this will mean one more
things
hit.
you would never think about
reflex
doing.
Saves. Yeah. It's so.
I was definitely carrying around elemental absorption items.
Yep.
The whole time. Whenever I could
You
find
mentioned
them.
about
naked without it.
You mentioned about surprising things. Here's another thing that was surprising to me. When we previewed it on Lemania, we had set the death notice at level 2 in order to check the technology. But the intention at that time was to actually have the death notice only happen at a higher level and above. Under the thought of, well, remember when we did the guild thing and it was maybe a little spammy, we didn't want it to be too spammy. But just due to a combination of things, it ended up going out live with that level 2 threshold. And initially we were like, oh man, that's going to be so spammy. But what we ended up finding is the community liked it. And the reason I think people liked it is it helped make you feel like you weren't alone in dying. It was that slight consolation that, all right, maybe I did get wiped for the 3rd time now at level 3, 4, 5 or whatever, but I'm not alone. And there's a whole bunch of people dying along with me. And that I think that actually helped bring along a sense of camaraderie and sportsmanship to the thing that maybe wouldn't have happened if we had set it at, say, like level 10 or something like that.
Or to a lesser degree, at least.
Yeah. So were there any particular highlights in your experience that you haven't talked about, or some stuff that you saw vicariously through others that really kind of stood out to you?
I think this will always be known as the season when Strimtom killed that party member with the laser.
Yeah, the laser beam.
I did see that there was a release note coming that seemed to be somewhat related to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if we ever really made this claim, but I always felt like permadeath was like, or hardcore represented mastery knowledge of the game, including the weird, quirky stuff that's, not working 100%. Like, that is your knowledge and skill is part of that, to help you conquer hardcore. But when we looked at that laser beam, we're like, okay, what's this thing doing? It's like, okay, it draws a laser beam and it starts killing anything. It does like a disintegration damage. It does a ton of damage. It's really dangerous. But on angles where there isn't a mirror, it doesn't graphically draw the beam, even though it still fires the disintegration beam. So we're like, well, we're gonna fix it. For next time, we're gonna fix this. But that was about it. Like, I can't think of. I mean, we're gonna adjust a few pieces of content that we think were uneven, but I feel like everyone knew going in. There
was going to be unevenness.
Right. I mean, that's part of our game. Is certain dungeons are spikier than others, and we're not gonna totally change that. That's why we're not going to flatten stuff out that much. But like we might smooth a few particularly spiky dungeons. But we knew those dungeons were spiky, and I feel like the players knew those dungeons were spiky. Like everyone, a lot of knowledge about that already.
But we have a lot of data now about what dungeons are the
Right?
spikiest.
Yeah. Me too. Your lives did not pass in vain. But but like we didn't. I was, like we didn't hit a lot of like, oh my god, I can't believe we didn't fix that season. Like, we didn't hit a lot of that. We were pretty happy with it.
That's good. I think players were pretty happy with it too. It seems to be a really popular thing. Okay, so I know it's not announced, and this is an if question. But if you did this again, what are some things that maybe you would want to be different, if any?
I need to be the official company spokesperson and say we have nothing further to announce at this time.
That's fair.
Sorry. I mean, certainly, like we were just saying, we've been looking at the data, towards an eye toward just learning things that maybe we understood or believed anecdotally and can now either prove or disprove with hard numbers. So I think, irrespective of any kind of consideration for what we might do in the future, just for the live game, I think there are some things that we can kind of put in place and consider when we're answering questions in the future, like is this too tough? Is this too easy? What is going to kill people? What is not going to kill people? Et cetera, et cetera. There's all sorts of different kinds of bits of data there.
No, yeah, but after the season is over, like we are planning to after it's done, to comb through all the data we've collected, both about player, performance and deaths and all of that sort of stuff, but also other things, and just server performance in general, and determine what we're doing. So we have nothing to announce at this point.
Still learning.
Yeah.
So is there going to be a board somewhere in the office that says this dungeon designer killed this many players and like a leaderboard for that?
Oh, but that's a fantastic idea.
That's a dangerous proposition. I'm just letting you know. If things could get my competitive,
it'll be flimsy. Flimsy firewood.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I don't know. Torc has some pretty dangerous dungeons.
Yeah, that's true.
Although I don't think anyone was foolish enough to complete Too Hot to Handle.
Oh yeah, well,
I was thinking Terminal Delirium.
that was the edge of the edge.
Did anybody do Terminal Delirium and complete it on Reaper?
I think so.
People did beat Terminal Delirium.
Okay.
There are completions of Terminal Delirium. It is certainly not a popular quest.
I did kind of have these odd machinations of like trying to get a group of people like just level up some characters, flag for it. Okay, we're gonna run the Abbott raid.
Yeah, right.
If we can get a completion of Abbott on hardcore,
You got one more week. What are you gonna lose?
yeah, right. Is there anything else you guys want to say about hardcore? Or maybe we should say this. Can you maybe walk us through what you can about how Hardcore League is going to end? Just kind of get that out there a little bit more.
First thing I want to direct you to is we do have a FAQ on the forums and I believe on the website as well, which will answer a lot of the questions. But if you want to kind of take the final day of Friday plan.
Sure. Did you want to go over
the after party?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we're actually after this will go in after the patch, but basically we built in support for effectively an after party where we will bring the servers down. What we expect is we're going to bring the servers down. We're going to lock in the leaderboard, as in these are the winners, and prep that, and then the server will actually go back up for a couple weeks. This might not happen right at the end of the season. This might happen ways down the line for back end issues. But they will basically be like the couple weeks of transfer time, and transfer time will be setting a flag on the server that will let you out of the land of the lost. You'll still be dead, so that guy can't really adventure, but he can bank and he can socialize it. He can do stuff in public areas. So everyone can kind of get their affairs in order and transfer off the server before mortality, destroys the world.
Yeah, and I think that'll be probably early December when we reopen the worlds. I think that's a tentative plan at this point. So, because we have a couple weeks here, and I know at least 1 week we've got a little bit of kind of server maintenance work we're going to be doing. So,
Yeah, it depends
yeah.
on how that goes.
Yeah.
As to
Well,
what
and there's a holiday in
that
there.
server maintenance work.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, folks. So you do have to still be a VIP to get in for the after party time. So get onto the hardcore league.
As of today, that is correct, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In order to log into a character on the server, you will still need to be a VIP. What doesn't require being a VIP whatsoever is getting to character select or getting to the launcher and getting to the transfer button.
Yeah.
That is not locked behind being a VIP whatsoever.
If someone was to expecting to lose their VIP status, if they wanted to set themselves up to transfer now, they wouldn't have a problem.
Right. I just want to make sure that people were aware of that.
There is a specific Black Friday related thing that I know comes up occasionally where some VIPs want to make sure that they're premium for, say, our holiday sales. And so I know that SSG Red Panda and me and Tolero have worked this year specifically with our Black Friday stuff that, well, I don't want to commit 100%, but it could well be 100%. Everything will be available to VIPs to purchase. There, we're not having, say, adventure pack stuff that would be gated by a VIP subscription. So if that is a concern of yours in terms of whether or not you want to be VIP in December, that's something I could say today, that we have put together a Black Friday and holiday sales with a specific focus toward being purchasable by both VIPs and non-VIPs.
I'm just gonna hazard a guess that after Hardcore League ends, there might be some autos boxes on sale in the near future.
No comment.
No comment. Yeah.
I can say that I am not shocked that autos boxes did not go on sale during the Hardcore League event. Do you guys have time to talk about Update 44 a little bit?
Just a couple of minutes here.
Sure.
Yeah.
But let's just, you guys have talked about Keep on the Borderlands and stuff. So just generically, what has you excited about Update 44 and Keep on the Borderlands?
So for me, I do play a bit on live, and when I hit epic levels, I struggled, and that was mostly because at various points, like I kind of come back into the game at various points, and I remember having gearing problems. And one of the things that Keep will address is that if you're coming back to the game for whatever reason, or just did not you didn't get the certain gear combinations that makes your character effective at that kind of cusp of 20 going into 21, Keep in the Borderlands will be a easier epic experience to ramp into and will itemize you quickly. So I just feel that has a definite value to the game that will let a lot more players engage with epic a lot more. On the heroic side, you don't have to play Korthos again after you reincarnate.
I'm looking forward to both of those things,
First
actually.
1,000 times you have played it.
So, yeah.
I would mounts is obviously a biggie. That was a real kind of surprise, I think, to me and a lot of other people that we were able to bring that into fruition with Keep. That's cool. So that's a new kind of system that will have impact even outside of Keep on the Borderlands. Just from a long, playing since the start player, the UI changes that Sick did are just like a light came from the sky, and it was just, I'm like, no, really? We're doing this? Oh my God. Little tear coming down my cheek, right? So that's a big one for me. And then finally, Keep itself. I mean, it's when you think about what are the most iconic, especially classic D&D modules, you think you can name half a dozen names probably off the top of your head, and most people are going to say most of those names the same. And Keep on the Borderlands is almost certainly on that list because it came with every basic red box. Basic red box. Yeah, basic red box, the 83 version, I think. So
I don't think it was the red box.
Was it?
Too young.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was the thing before it. It was the box for when
I know it was the first thing I had when my twin brother brought home his D&D set. But I can't remember if that was directly from the 83 red box or something else. Anyway,
I can't remember.
It's about as classic as it gets.
The whole update is about that, basically.
Yeah.
Like mounts were made for this update because Keep on the Borderlands is all about quintessential fantasy, like classic adventure. Like it is the tropes of being an adventurer in a fantasy land where you are there's humans in a keep and they need help from these evil monsters and you have to go slay the evil monsters and you ride your horse across the fields to slay the monsters and it all together as a package is just about the quintessential old school fantasy adventures without the twists and weirdness of like say the Eberron campaign setting, which is great. But it's nice to have just like the picture book of a fantasy adventure, and all of it together makes that.
Great. Anything else you guys want to say before we head out?
Can't really think of anything.
Users?
Thanks for having us on here. We hope everyone's been enjoying the Hardcore League. It's been really seems to be a success all around. So we love that you guys have been loving it. We've been having a great time with it, and we look forward to bringing more stuff to you in the future.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I can't wait to hear about all the postmortem stuff that comes from Hardcore League. So
yeah.
So thanks again to CocoaMajobo and Torc and Cordovan for joining us this week. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also find show notes, past shows, and more on our website. And you can find us on social media. I'm at DDOCast on Twitter. You guys are at DDO Unlimited on Twitter. So you can follow them. Or at Standing Stone Games.
Yep.
If you want to follow the studio itself. Before we go, we should, Cordovan, Extra Life in Movember.
Oh, right. Sure. So I am taking donations through November 15th for Extra Life. This supports the Boston Children's Hospital, helping sick kids. I'm going to be doing the drawings that are various incentives for your donation the following week. And then through December 1st, I'm raising money for Movember, which particularly raises funds for direct support programs for testicular cancer patients, prostate cancer patients, and then also some mental health and suicide prevention programs that specifically targeted at-risk men. And you can read more about that on Movember.com. You can donate extra-life.org/team/SSG or mobro.co/jerrysnook.
And you can find more information about what those incentives are and stuff on the forums at DDO.com as well. So until next time, all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.